Hey,
Hey, man.
what's going on?
How are you?
Dude, I'm doing good. It's crazy to actually finally be able to talk with
I
you.
was,
Do
I
you
was thinking
know,
the same thing because it's been so long. We've been talking back
dude,
and forth now.
do you know that you and Luke were like the first people I covered on Color House? Isn't that crazy, bro?
That's so crazy to think about because, like, that feels so long ago.
Bro, that was like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's insane. But thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me. I mean, it's
Yeah, man.
crazy that you just started music actually about a year ago with This Doesn't Feel Like Color. And I always like to start off with my guests just telling me about your journey with music, where it began, because you only started music about a year ago. So, how is that? Where'd you really find music in your life, and how did that journey really begin for you?
Yeah. I don't really come from like a musical background. I just found electronic music at a young age, I guess, like probably when I was 13, 14. And I wasn't really into music before that point, but something about it, like I don't know, it's just a special sound. It's a really special sound, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, I'm gonna make this. I'd never even touched music before, not even an instrument, but I was just like, I'm gonna make this, and that's kind of how that started. It wasn't immediate, but I started making music like you said, I started posting it like a year ago and finally getting it out. But really, I've been making songs for like the past 5 years. I've just
Wow.
kind of been like waiting for the right time, I guess. Never really happy with it.
Yeah. So
But
but were you when you first started making the songs 5 years ago? Why weren't what made you not want to release them?
I don't know. Like I I did like to some extent at the time, just like little SoundCloud stuff, but not anything that I'm doing now. I guess when I was starting out, I felt almost insecure. Pardon my cat.
No, you're good, man.
Maybe like just like insecure about my sound, like you never feel like something's good enough. You're creative, I'm sure you feel the same way with some of your
Yeah, no,
projects.
yeah, it's pain.
I even feel the same way now 5 years later. Like my sound, like I'm making the best music I've ever made right now, but I still just always feel like it could be better.
Yeah.
So I mean, 5 years ago I felt that way, but a year ago it kind of just clicked where like if I'm always getting better at making music, as you should, right? I should
Yeah.
always be getting better. And if I am always getting better, then nothing's ever really gonna be perfect or 100%.
Yeah.
So that once that clicked for me, like releasing music, it just kind of started happening itself. It's not gonna be perfect. It's part of the process. Just got to get it out there. Let
Yeah.
people listen to it.
Yeah, I love that. No, I mean, when I first heard This Doesn't Feel Like Color, I mean, I'm really attracted to EDM as well. And
Yeah.
I've always listened to guys like Avicii, rest in peace, but all those guys. And I know there's EDM, like the field is just so much variety now, which is crazy. But when I first heard that song, I mean, it just made me feel good. And I just loved
Oh, that's good.
the
Thanks.
synthesizers and everything in it. But I want to talk about, because when I first really discovered you, it was through Let's Punctuate with Luke.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, where was that part of your life? How did that get started? What was that exactly like?
So yeah, for anybody listening who doesn't know later on, I guess that Punctuate was a page that I had with my friend Luke, and Charlie featured us on Color House a few years ago.
Yes, sir.
And I guess, man, I don't, that's like just weird how that all fell together, honestly. It wasn't even like one
You guys
set
had a
thing.
big following on the page.
Yeah, we hit like I think 60,000, I think 60,000
I think you
followers.
did, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but Luke and I honestly just met over our love for music too. Like he liked electronic music and I liked electronic music, and that's how we connected online. And I was doing random Instagram stuff at the time. It was like nothing, but I was just like learning Instagram, doing like memes and stupid stuff like that. Uh, yeah, Luke just, I don't know, we both just got along really well when we met. So he started doing it with me. Somewhere along the way, we decided to switch it up and make ourselves the faces of the page and, try to do something with that. And then life just hit after that as well. College started
Oh
and
yeah.
we decided to take a break from there, I guess.
Yeah. Now I want to go to the first song. So like I kind of like to go through the journey of the creator. So I want to start with This Doesn't Feel Like Color. What was that like just the production behind it? Cuz I'm curious to know like when you're making EDM music, like how are you able to find inspiration? And like when you're like making it, how do you know like, oh okay, this is the type of thing I want to do?
Yeah. For me, it's kind of a combination of like trying to put together every single artist that you like and listen to and make it into one big thing. That's what it used to be like for me. I feel like I kind of have my own sound now, but finding inspiration, is interesting that you asked that, because I was just thinking about that today, especially with like the pandemic and COVID. And I feel like there's a lot of people creating right now, and that's something that I struggled with over the course of the pandemic, is creating, because I felt like, oh, we have all this time stuck inside now, and
Yes, same way with me.
I'm gonna create so much stuff, and then it ends up like being the opposite, and I like can't create anything because and I realized there that you can just sit down and pump out songs, but like it's really like, and sounds so easy and cliche, but it's really the people and the experiences that you do outside of the song that like all come together to put into there, you know. Uh, hey, buddy. So it's really all those experiences and the people, the things you do outside of music that you bring inspiration from to make that song. Like I could sit down and work on a song for 10 hours and make a song, or I could go out for 5 hours and experience things and come home and write a song in an hour that's really good,
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where This Doesn't Feel Like Color came from. It was just like a lot of what I was feeling at the time, like with school and just life, and just at that time, like all bringing all of those outside experiences into what I wanted to make my sound be like, I guess, if that even makes sense.
Yeah. And what was like, and what's inspiration behind the name? Like, This Doesn't Feel Like Color. Where'd that come
Yeah,
from?
so This Doesn't Feel Like Color is essentially about like just your life feeling like a movie. Like
I love that.
things feeling black and white, like if something's real, then it's all colorful and real and there. But just sometimes it feel like this doesn't feel like color. This just doesn't feel real. It was kind of just about like life feeling like a movie script at some points, or things feeling like meant to be, or like just this doesn't feel real. This doesn't feel like color.
I love that. Now, when you release that, and then you release, and then Summer Pass, what did you learn from the production of your first song to your second one? What was like the
Yeah.
biggest lesson you got?
I think there's a couple things. One was like really finding my own sound in between the two, because there's a big difference, and they kind of have the same strong song structure, but there is a big difference between This Doesn't Feel Like Color and then Summer Past, like sound wise. And I feel like I just found more of my sound along the way there. And I also just found the importance, that's like I was saying about finishing music and just putting it out, even nothing's ever going to be perfect. In between those two songs is really when I like started to actually believe that and feel that. So, and then Summer Past, I'm honestly like not even super happy with. This Doesn't Feel Like
What?
Color,
Why?
I'm honestly not even super happy with either of those songs. Like it was
No,
just to the
what?
point where like I have to put this out. I have to just tell the story and move on to the next one.
Dude, those are incredible songs, though. I mean, like when you released them, I literally added them, like, because I always make monthly playlists of my songs. Like, dude, those are amazing songs. I gotta tell you, I know you're not really proud of it, but man, I enjoyed them. I think I like This Doesn't Feel Like Color. I think that's my favorite one. But I mean, they all just, if you're into EDM music, you can tell that like each one tells a different story.
Yeah.
So like my follow-up question really is, you said you were discovering your sound. How would you define your sound now? Like what would you say who you are as
Oh
an
man.
artist?
It's kind of all over the place still, but I have a lot of different influences. The way that I started trying to make my songs around those two was that I was listening to a lot of like indie rock music. I was into a lot of bands at the time. Like that's when I started listening to a lot of bands. I saw a few concerts. I saw the 1975 and I saw like the band Camino. But then I also listened to like all this different EDM stuff that I really liked. And it was kind of just me trying to combine the two and make like indie rock electronic, if that was even a thing. And it is, but I was just trying to find my own way of doing that, I guess.
Yeah.
But now I don't even know how to describe my sound, because I went from that to Tonight I Sleep, and it's just kind of all over the place. I'm just kind of finding it more and more as I go.
Yeah. Now why EDM? What made you connect with that genre the most?
I was so young when I found it that I guess at the time it was just like a cool thing. But like now looking back and just how much I love it now, it's really, I, a lot of my songs I don't make with vocals. I like how a sound can tell a story, you know? You're not singing and telling somebody how to feel. The fact that like some dubstep wobble or just a bass, and the melodies that come with it can tell a story over the course of a song. That's what I really like about it. You're letting people, you're telling a story, but you're also like putting out a canvas and just letting people interpret it the way they want to, and connect with it the way that they want to.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of my questions. Have you ever thought of like adding your own voice to the songs?
I've tried a couple times, but I honestly just can't sing like to save my life, man. Um, I that's kind of one of my things right now is I want to learn how to sing, because it would be cool to maybe not like sing over an entire song, but just to like have a vocal sample of me in there somewhere might be cool. So I might try and work on that, work on my singing voice.
No, yeah, you really should. I mean, like, it's good regardless, but I mean, like, just to expand your music and your creativity in any avenue, I mean, I
Yeah.
always encourage that. But you said you're able to tell a story now. Exactly, because, like, on the outside looking in, I can see there is a story, but I don't really know how do you like tell one through EDM. So that's my question to you. How are you able to really tell a story through all these different sounds?
Yeah. Um, it's definitely different for everybody. Depends on the song, but for me personally, a lot of my songs I make aren't just like intro drop, section drop, this drop. It's kind of like a whole build up throughout the song, and then like this big drop at the end, and then the song outro, So that's kind of how I tell my story. Is it's the beginning. I write a song like you would write a story, I start it up and it goes, start it up and it goes. But it starts off soft and it's just gradually picking up throughout the whole song with the melodies that, whatever story you're trying to tell, if it's happy or sad or whatever, but it's always just like gradually building up into this big ending at the end.
Yeah. Now, and then summer pass.
Mhm.
What's the inspiration behind there? You said all your songs are shaped by experiences. What were you going through at that time that was different than It Doesn't Feel Like Color?
Yeah, that one. And then Summer Past is a special song for me because the story behind that is just growing up, I guess. A lot of my friends, or a few of my good friends, it just felt like everybody was starting to grow up around the time that I was writing that song. And I had friends who left the city to go away for college, and then they were gone. And I just had, the memories I had with them. And that's kind of what really influenced the song. It's like, and then summer passed and we grew up and everybody, went and did their own thing. Um, and then summer passed. I think I might actually rework at some point. Like I said, like I was thinking sometime in the new year, like it's crazy, man, how much my production has leveled up in the past like year, like since I put out This Doesn't Feel Like Color. Like I said, like if you're always getting better, it's never going to be perfect. But I also do want to go back and really rework And Then Summer Passed, because it's a story that I really like and I want to be able to tell it really well. So that's something I'm going to work on next year, I think, is going back and reworking that and probably putting it out again. But anyway, that's off track. Sorry. The story really though is just, and then summer passed, and we're just growing up, and everybody's, on to their own thing.
Is that supposed to be a sad story to you, or like a happy story?
That's where I think it's situational and dependent on whoever's listening. And that's why I like, people being able to interpret a song the way they like. It can be happy for somebody, and then summer passed and we had all those great times and those great memories and we're growing up now and it's so great. Or it can be, and then summer passed and these people left and I missed them. And for me, it was kind of a combination of both, I guess. It's like looking forward to what's after and what's next, but at the same time looking back, but not trying to look back too much.
Yeah. Do you want all your songs to, like, when people listen, to think of like go to a specific place in their mind, or do you like to leave that up to the listener?
Yeah, it really depends. Like, it would be cool if I put out a song and every person could connect with it and have a specific memory that immediately tied into it. I mean, that would mean that I'm doing my job well, I guess, but it really depends on the person who's listening to it, I guess.
Now, does it bother you? Because like EDM, I feel like, I mean, a lot of creative work, when people see it like on Instagram or anything, they don't realize the amount of work that actually goes into it. When you're producing all this music, I can't even imagine. Like I just started playing around with GarageBand the other day, and like
Oh,
I can't even imagine what it is for you. And does that ever bother you? Like knowing that some people might not acknowledge how much work actually goes into your projects?
Not really personally. Like, I guess there's kind of the whole debate over like DJs and electronic music and how much skill it takes and pushing buttons. But for me personally, like if somebody doesn't think my song is good or anything like that, or this took no skill, I don't want to listen to this, then it's kind of just not for them,
Mm-hmm.
Like I want it to be for them, but at the same time, like it would be for the people who do want to understand it and listen to it.
Yeah. But now that you're in the zone, I feel like you're in the zone now. Like you just released Tonight I Sleep with,
Yeah.
and do you ever put pressure on yourself? Like, does pressure come with now creating for you, and considering how much recognition you've had on your songs? Like, this doesn't feel like Color has over like 70,000 streams, I think. Do you feel pressure
Yeah.
to create?
Yeah, definitely. And not always. Like, I don't want to have pressure on me to create, because it's just about art and expression and just me expressing myself. But, it definitely, you do want each song to be better than the last, right? So I definitely do put pressure on myself. I even said when Tonight I Sleep came out, I was like, all right, guys, I'm putting out a song every month, till the end of the year. And then it's the end of October now, and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't even put out a song because I'm just working on so many different things at once. So there definitely is a stress there, but I don't let it really control. Yeah, that's the thing. It definitely is there, but I just try and not let it control the creative process at all. Like I might feel stressed and like to create, and like even right now, I'm kind of feel under stress to finish something and put something out because it's been a month, right? But at the same time, like I don't want to let that control my creative process and like make me speed through a project instead of taking my time or making something that I really want to make
Yeah.
just to put something out.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is your creative process? Do you like, because obviously we're talking about pressure and everything. Are you the type of person that like organizes your creativity and like, okay, I'm gonna do this day, or are you the type to like let
Not
it
at all. I'm terrible with like creativity. I'll honestly go a week without making music and be like, what am I doing? I need to make something to create. And but then I'll just get hit with like a flash of inspiration out of nowhere and go and start a whole new song. That's kind of what happened to me with my next song that's coming out. But It really depends. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm feeling inspired, so let's set like creative times to go and do this. But a lot of the time, I kind of just go with the flow. And when an inspiration hits me, I can just flow something out in an hour instead of forcing something out when I'm not feeling creative.
Yeah. Now, how do you get inspired? Are you listening to a specific artist? Are you looking through things on Instagram? What's your source of inspiration?
Yeah, during quarantine, we haven't had a lot of those experiences that I've been, that we talked about before, where I can go out and like
Yeah.
experience things with friends or even see people in general. So music itself definitely inspires me a lot all the time. There's a lot of artists that inspire my music specifically, and I can go and just not even make something trying to make a whole song, just kind of one of their songs will inspire me and I'll go and I'll lay something out, and then that could turn into a whole song maybe.
Yeah.
But over quarantine it's definitely been music that's inspired me a lot. I've been listening to a lot of music because we've been inside.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to be those experiences again that I can go out and experience things. So that's definitely helping with the creative process.
Yeah. Now, who currently are you listening to for inspiration?
Oh man, there's so many people, but
Give me three.
for Tonight I Sleep,
Yeah.
there's an artist, Tourist, and he really inspired Tonight I Sleep. It's kind of just like that really chill ambient house vibe that Porthnall and I were really inspired by, and he's like definitely a huge inspiration of mine. Um, I saw Elenium
Oh, they're so good.
back in November last year,
So good.
and that carried forward so much, just the feeling that I got from that. So he was definitely inspiring me for a while. A lot of like my chords that I wrote for my songs, the big sections were definitely inspired by him. I don't know if you know M83,
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
but he's probably like one of my favorite musicians. He's like really, really great, and he inspires me a lot. Um, I've been listening to OTR a lot lately, and he's been inspiring my songs. I don't know if you know OTR.
I think I've heard. I think I've heard.
Yeah, guys like OTR and Casbo. Casbo really inspires me. He just put out an album the other day, and it's like incredible that and that like is definitely a creative boost for me too. Like hearing something like that.
Yeah. When you're listening to them, though, because obviously, like, EDM is full of all these different types of sounds. Are you ever listening and you hear something specifically that you would want to somehow style into your own? Or are you like, how does exactly take into your own song?
Yeah, so you don't want to like copy something,
Yeah.
but you could also get really inspired by something and want to do that. So like for us, Tonight I Sleep, if anybody listening listens to Tourist, like Tonight I Sleep was really inspired by Elixir by Tourist. Great song. And yeah, there's definitely certain elements from songs that you don't want to take, but you also want to try and like do it in your own way.
Yeah. Now I want to get to tonight's sleep. How is it like to work with Porthnall, I think? Is that how you say
Yeah.
it? How
Yeah.
how is it like working with him, and where was the inspiration behind that? What type of message are you guys trying to send with this one?
Yeah, so Porthnall, his name is Marcel, and I randomly met him during quarantine. Like it was probably during the start of when the pandemic really picked up, like back in like I think May we started working on the song. And I just randomly messaged him because I found his music and I was like, hey, I like your music. He's like, thanks, I like your music too. You want to work on something? I'm like, sure. And
It happens that quick.
yeah, but he's from Slovenia. I hope I'm saying it right.
I
And
think it's all right. I'm not sure myself.
so it was cool to like call with somebody who's across the world and work on something with them.
Now, I think I saw that it was inspired by a specific poem.
Yeah, we wrote a poem with it actually. It was so there's a vocal section in Tonight I Sleep that's right before
Yeah,
the
I heard
drop.
it. Yeah.
And that's actually Marcel singing it. And we weren't trying to write vocals with the song. We really liked it as an instrumental, but we started to write this poem that would like accompany the song and kind of tell the story of the song so that people could read the poem and then have context for the song. And we were like, oh, we should try this poem as like lyrics. And so Marcel did it, and it's kind of like a nursery rhyme type vibe lyrics, but it came from the poem that we wrote together. Which was interesting. I'd never do poetry, and it was like interesting to sit down with another person over the internet and write poetry together.
No, what specific story are you guys trying to tell, especially with that poem? Because I think I saw like it was very emotionally deep for Marcel, because I was like, I was checking through the Instagram and everything. So what was the specific story that like really motivated you guys to make this?
Yeah, Marcel has terrible sleeping patterns. Like I'll message him and it'll be like 4 a.m. his time, but he'll be awake and he'll respond to me. And I'm like, man, go to bed. But he's had trouble sleeping, and for him, that's where the song kind of came from. So we're like, all right, let's take this idea of having trouble sleeping and not being able to sleep, and that feeling that you get when you finally close your eyes and are able to fall asleep. And that's where the poem came from, and that's where the lyrics came from.
I love that. Now, from your first single that you released last year, the Tonight I Sleep, what do you think you have evolved the most when it comes, not even just to your music, but like about life in general?
Man, I guess I'm better at writing to experiences better. You know, instead of like, oh, something sad happened to me, let me write a sad melody, or I'm happy, let me write a happy song. I'm better at like writing specific melodies that are more in touch with like specifically how I feel. And, you know, that showed from the songs that I've written to now, the songs that I've made now. And overall, like, really the production is just a lot better. That's what I'm happy with. The quality of the music is a lot better, and the melody is just overall, like, really the writing and the production have just improved a lot.
Yeah. Did Marcel teach you anything specifically that you really took from this whole process of creating Tonight I Sleep?
Yeah, Marcel is really good at mixing music. Like his songs that he put out, I listened to his music before we started working together, and I was like, how does this song have under 1,000 plays? Like, not that plays are everything that matters, but I was like, this dude is just so good. How does he not have more recognition for his music? So to actually like call and be like in the studio, like virtually together and see him work was really cool. And I'm sure I can put that into my own music now going forward.
Was that your first time working like collaboratively with someone on a song?
I have friends in town who make music, and they'll come over and we'll make songs for fun together. One of my like best childhood friends is a rapper, you know, and he has more monthly listeners than me, I think. But we hang out all the time. We used to make like stupid songs together all the time. We still like, you know, I'll send them, you know. So I have people who I collaborate with, but it's more just like for fun. Marcel's the first person that I've ever collaborated with. Well, I collaborated with like one singer, like, but it was years ago. So Marcel's really like the first person who I've collaborated for a finished product with.
Yeah. Do you think like collaborating makes the process more enjoyable or easier?
It depends, because if you're both really on the same page about how you want the song to be and how you want everything to go, then probably, because you know, you might have an idea and they're able to put it out when you might not be able to. But I mean, you definitely got to be on the same page about the song. You don't want to like get stuck arguing about things. Like Marcel and I didn't argue, of course, but like there's little things that we had to really discuss and like kind of debate over how we wanted to do the song, you know? So just being on the same page would make it much faster.
Yeah.
And did for us.
Now, I was going through all your stuff, and I feel like there's this one message you continue to convey, not just to yourself, but to your audience. And your Instagram bio says it. It says dance like everybody's watching. Now, usually the phrase is dance like no one else is watching. So what type of message are you trying to tell, not just other people, but about yourself?
Yeah. So dance like everybody's watching. I haven't really made a point of that really anywhere yet, what that means. It's just kind of there. I want to do something with that in the future
I
for
love it, man.
sure. But yeah, you're right. What, like you said, normally it's dance like nobody's watching. But I mean, I think it's a lot cooler to dance like everybody's watching and just not caring that everybody's watching and just dancing dancing can be a metaphor for anything, right? But just like everybody's watching and you just don't care, you're just doing it for you and for the people who are doing it with you and just for that experience.
Yeah. Do you think that correlates with creating as well? Because I feel like, I mean, like, I get a lot of pressure just creating from my mind because I'm like, oh, well, people like this. Like, I don't know how people feel about it. Does
Yeah,
that correlate to how you're creating as an artist as well?
for sure. um there's definitely always gonna be people who don't like your music, and probably people who really don't like your music, you know. Like if I showed people who aren't into EDM at all some of my stuff, they might not like it at all. But I don't know, you just keep dancing like everybody's watching. You don't do it for the people who are gonna criticize and say that. You're just dancing like everybody's watching and doing it for you and that experience and the people who are with you and the people that it's gonna connect with.
Yeah, I love that. Now we're towards the end, but I really like to get deep. I like to dig deep at the end. So since the beginning of Let's Punctuate to now, what have you
Yeah.
learned the most about not just being creative, but about life?
Oh man. I think kind of like where dance like everybody's watching came from is I just really don't really care much anymore about like about negativity in general. It's such a cliche thing to say, but
There should
like
be no room for it.
even when we were doing punctuate, like you got to find the right pictures to post and post what people are going to like and you know, now that to now is like I'm just doing me. I'm really just doing stuff for me and because I love it, and I don't really care if, you know, it gets 1,000 likes or not, like, or my song, you know. That's why it's all about art for me now, really, like, and just making beautiful music and doing things for me and not caring so much about those aspects of things.
I love that. Now, what's one creative tip you could give to anyone? It can be about life. It can be about the actual process of creativity. What's just one thing from your perspective? Obviously, dance like everybody's watching is a big theme with you, but like, what's one tip you could tell someone if you were telling them right in front of them, just about life? It could be about anything. What's one thing?
Yeah, I think, we like kind of touched on this when we did the interview and then Summer Pass came out,
Yeah.
but just in general, like, um, what was it? Because I said something specific to you. Oh yeah. Like about having dreams and just dreaming in general, and how like it's important to have dreams, but at the same time, I feel like I don't really have like dreams because it's not like I'm like, oh, my dream is to be this musician and do this and that. Like I already am a musician, you know. I just have goals where I want to take that and things I want to do with that. You know, it's not like my dream to do this or do that. Like no, you just start small, and even if it's small, like you're still doing it. That's not a dream anymore, right? It's like it, you just got to go and actually do the thing. Like it's not like, oh, my dream is to be a musician. Like no, I might have just put out a song and like 10 people listen to it, but like now that's not a dream. Like it could still be your dream to be a musician, but really it's not. Like you put out that song, like it's out there, it's happening, and it's just goals and moving on to the next one and moving on to the next one. So that's kind of what like I live by in life and with my music is like I have dreams, of course. I'm not saying like it's bad to dream or I don't have dreams, but like uh, I'm just gonna have goals about where I want to take things. You know, when you say something is like this huge dream, I feel like that almost like limits yourself and like puts a whole like saying that it's really hard and you
Yeah.
might not make it happen. But you know, like just set goals for yourself. Like don't say my dream is to be a musician. Be like, I am a musician. I just have certain goals I want to accomplish, and this is how I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, be specific, really, honestly, about your goals and everything. Because I mean, like, that was something I kind of struggled with in the beginning. Because, like you said, like, I wasn't saying I want to be a musician, but I was like, oh, I want to work in fashion. I want to, like,
Yeah.
be a podcast host. I want to do all these things. But in reality, that's only like a really like that's like talking about goals with blinders on. Like, you're not really getting down to the specifics and how you can actually make that happen. So I love how you brought up that point. But last question, this tends to stump a lot of people. What is your definition of creativity?
Oh man.
I tend to hear something
Uh,
different with everyone.
um, Damn, I wish I had the dictionary next to me. Um,
Let me rephrase it like this. How do you
that's
define being creative?
yeah. That's interesting that you said everybody's answer is like different and all over the place, and I think that's like kind of my answer is that is different for everybody. Like being creative for me
Oh,
isn't gonna be what makes you creative. You know, like the littlest step is like in creativity or just to create something is much different from me to you. Like for me, a little step could be like to make the song, but for somebody else, like that creativity and that spark and that one step of creativity could just be like strumming one chord, you know. Like I think it really just depends on the person and not like holding yourself to standards and just letting yourself create and flow even if it's little.
I love that. I never really thought that way. That's really cool. But I just want to say thank you, man. I mean, like, since the beginning,
Yeah,
I started Color House like 2 years ago, and it's just amazing to see how you evolved. And
I should have worn my hoodie, man. I should have worn my shirt.
no, it's fine. But I just want to say thank you because I know like how much it is, especially when you're in creative work, to like know you have those people that you've always really talked to but not really actually connected with. And it's really
Yeah,
cool because you've always been rocking with the whole brand and what we've been doing. So I just want to say thank you, man. It's so cool to like see someone that like I never really communicated with in the beginning to now, which is insane because like so much
yeah.
has happened in these 2 years. So I just want to
It
say
really
thank you.
has. Thank you, man. Like I honestly like I really like what you're doing with Color House, and I think it has like insane potential. I think like seriously, the sky's the limit. You could do so much here, and to see what you're doing already, like, and it's affecting people already, right? Like you can tell, and it's really cool that we get to sit down and talk after 2 years too. I really like what you're doing. It's nice to finally talk.
Yeah, I appreciate it though, man. Well, I'm gonna let you go, but thank you so much, man. And just keep being creative and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, yeah, thank you, man.